Gotta play to win every day. Never knock a grind or hustle. Quarterback calls in the huddle. We not blood, but he know he my brother. He go, I go, word to my mother. You know that I live by the way.
Welcome back to You Not Gonna Like This. This is episode 25, Women's Rights versus Feminism. I think this is a very important topic, being that there is an uprising going on in I don't want to say female community, but it's the best term I could think of off the top of my head. And it looks weird when guys are speaking on women's topics. I don't think that's the best way to go about things. So we have a woman here with us, as you can see. Key, can you introduce yourself to the people?
Hello, everyone. My name is Kiara, or Key. I am obviously a female, so we're here to talk about this. Should I say anything specific about myself? Do I need to?
Most people go with how they know me. That's the common way to go about it.
Well, I met Ira all the way back in freshman year. I don't know. Let's not get into that
one. yeah, freshman year.
We go back.
Yeah, so it's glad to have you on. Glad for you joining the show. It's great to have another person to come on. Well, as I said earlier, this is a very important topic, being there's an uprising in the community, being that women want to be treated more fairly and all things that they want more equality as well, not just more popularized in the sports world, but of course, more importantly, in the everyday life facets as well. Being that America has not did a great job of what's been going on, being that they became more restrictive, especially with the sexual reproductive laws, being that abortion is now essentially illegal, meaning that I don't know anybody that would try to get their baby aborted within the first trimester. That's only 3 months. That's a lot of fast-paced decision making. Nobody's gonna make the decision that quick. But things like that, they haven't done a really good job. So the first question I got right here is, why is women's choice a debatable topic?
From a female's perspective, it shouldn't be a debatable topic. I often like to say, if men were the ones having children, this wouldn't be debatable. So it honestly just comes from the tradition of men having ownership of women and women's bodies. And we're at a time when, we've already gone through all like the history of the women's suffrage movement. And we've been, as females, been working for equality and women's rights for decades and decades and decades. And now here we are. When it comes to the right for a woman to choose what she wants to do to her body, the fact that that's even a debatable topic is an issue. I know for me personally, there really is no correct answer to your question, because at the end of the day, as a woman, my body, if I decide that I would like to have an abortion, I should have that right.
From my be debatable either, because I don't know who would want choices being made for them. Like that's just not fair. Because the way I look at it is I laugh at it sometimes in my head, because the politicians passing these laws is funny, because if it was them in that situation, you'd be like, now what you gonna try to renege on your law? You can't do that, because now you're gonna look like, okay, why you passing in the first place? And that's exactly what I feel is gonna happen. It's gonna, like, I think Chris Cuomo said it. He says it all the time when it comes to police brutality or anything pertaining to it. It's gonna take those in power to have it to happen to them for them to be like, oh, hold up, there might be a problem here, and things like that. And it's sad that has to happen, that they have to experience that. They can't just take somebody's word of choice by mouth that this is terrible and why should we have to deal with this. But
honestly, I think it's been positive. I feel like having a specific group that focuses on the awareness of something, there's definitely pros and cons. But I feel like the feminist movement, like any other movement, is necessary. And of course, like I already said, there's goods and bads with it, but having a core group that is focused on one thing is important. To think about it, like think about the civil rights movement. Yes, there were always people, but like without the movement, without the people, without the leaders, where would we be? You know? So the feminists and the feminist movement is very important, so that we have specific people and groups standing up for women who might not be able to stand up for themselves.
Okay. That's good. Because, you know, as of me, I felt like it was a fine, like you said, it's the pros and cons. Is bringing awareness and equality to women, which should have been done a long time ago. And then, but I just sometimes I feel like it's negative because it's like not everybody is supporting it the way they should. They're using it against you as everything, like you said with the religion. They're taking bits and pieces and trying to spin it, and that's not what you want. Same thing with, you know, Black Lives Matter. You know, they try to take bits and pieces and try to flip it at you when you're having a movement such as something as big as this. There's gonna be a couple of things that's gonna fall through the cracks, and everything's not gonna go smooth. I don't know why everybody thinks when you're protesting or you're trying to get change that everything's just gonna go a straight increase.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some plateaus. It's gonna be a drop in the action. It's gonna be a bumpy road to where you actually want to get to success. And I hope that, you know, y'all get the end goal that y'all want.
I'm about to say, to add to that, before we go to the next question, I feel like a lot of times when it does come to the feminist movement, there is a lot of men versus women, right? So to try to give like a good comparison, when it comes to like something like the Black Lives Matter movement, it's not Black people versus police. It's about Black people in the protection of Black people outside of the police. So I feel like the feminist movement and feminism is the same way. It's not, you know, women versus men. It's about women in the protection of women, you know?
Yeah, couldn't put it no better myself. Well, then the thing about it is it's an impasse because, you know, I get on my TikTok, you know, some women think like yourself. They want that level. They want to be treated with equality. But some women want the guy to do everything and them just have to worry about their thing. So, and that being said, I remember seeing a TikTok one day. It was this elderly woman and she was on a subway train and nobody wanted to get up for her. And then somebody responded, it was like the feminism is impacting because women want to be treated more equal. And sometimes they're trying to compare, like you said, with the women versus men, they want to be treated like men when that is not the case. But it's affecting how politeness works, like the everyday things like opening doors, pulling the chairs out, giving a seat up, you know, things that were very common in, you know, the 80s and the 90s and things earlier times. Now it's common now. So do you feel like that feminism is having an impact on the maintenance of politeness?
In all reality, I don't think gentleman-like behavior has anything to do with necessarily like feminism, you know. So I feel like on the grand scheme, I feel like, you know, certain things like opening a car door, opening a door, you know, giving up your seat, that's traditional, I guess, male behavior. Very I'm trying to think about the word, just like courtesy, you know, being courteous, like things like that. But I feel like it's definitely one of those things where as a woman, it depends on like, and this isn't necessarily going to be fair. And this definitely might be a little bit debatable, but it's like why you are doing it. I know for me, like, let's say like I'm walking in, someone opens the door for me. Okay, is it like I'm doing this to be courteous? Or as a male, am I doing this because I'm trying to talk to her or because I want to look at her behind as she walks through the door? You know, so from a female perspective, it's like, I don't believe that the feminist movement necessarily is a direct link to the, I won't say the downfall, but the more modern male view of things, where stuff like that isn't very common or isn't as likely anymore. Yeah.
Okay. Well, obviously, I think the goal is to be courteous because, I try to hold the door for everybody because nobody likes the door just coming in their face.
Exactly.
That's not it. That's not it. So like, and plus I just think it's just like I'm right there, so why not just do it? Like if I'm walking out of a restaurant and I see people walking in, I'm like, okay, just hold the door. It's like I'm already at the door, might as well hold the door.
So like, for example, like when you're walking, so like one very I would say traditional thing for male to do, if you are walking with a female, the male would be on the outside and the female on the inside. Now for me personally, like when, let's say I'm walking with someone and they do that, it's kind of like, oh wow, like they're being very courteous, like they're very much a gentleman, right? But on the other hand, it's like, I guess this could be like influence of like the independent woman or like the feminist movement, where it's like, I can stand where I want to on the sidewalk. So I feel like, when it does come to that, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, It really depends on who you're talking to. As a woman, I can't speak for all women in general, but I know for me, when like a male goes out their way to be a gentleman, I do acknowledge that and I do allow them to do what it is that they do. But I know some women might be like, well, they would want to be treated like equal. So I guess like in that sense, if there are enough women who are like that and who don't want males to go out their way and do these things for them, then I guess the feminist movement could, under some circumstances, affect that.
If that's what they want, I guess that's okay. But for me personally, like I think that's one of the first things my dad taught when I was a kid. He was like, always walk on the outside, never walk on the inside. Especially having a little sister and stuff like that. Because if a car goes wreck, you can push your sister out of the way, but you don't want the car to hit your sister. But if it hits you, it's like, all right, you still protect your sister at the end of the day, and that's the goal. Like not everybody can win that situation. Like it's just like little things. Like imagine walking on a city block and there's puddles everywhere. Like, I don't think you want to get wet. Like, like if you want to get wet, then fine. I guess that's good, but that's gonna ruin your outfit and your clothes. And now you're gonna be salty that I'm over here all dry and stuff like that. And I don't think nobody wants it. That's just gonna make everything unbenefited. Like, like because most times, me personally, I'm always gonna have a jacket on. I don't ever walk around without a jacket on most times more than not. But stuff like that, like I feel like when it comes to being polite, it's just like, it's things like, okay, you don't want to be in this position. Like I don't want to get wet either, but I can care less about being wet. It's gonna dry eventually. I don't, but because like, and you got to think about other things that women have. Like they have makeup on or something like that, and then you don't want their makeup to get ruined because then you have it all running down their face and stuff like that. Then it's a lot to fix. It's a lot of problems that could be avoided with this. It's a lot of problems that's just like, there's more levels to it. It's not as clear cut as everybody wants to make it seem. But
Exactly.
I could ask 100 women right now, if you were to be walking on the outside of the road with your date and you got wet because a car splashed a puddle on you and your makeup and everything got ruined, you cannot look me dead in the eye and say, okay, I'm good. You're not going to be good. You're not going to be good. So it's just things like that I feel that's real important when it comes to that. So, yeah. But the next question, final question I have is there anything men can do to help, or should we just take a backseat to the action?
I feel like if you ask different people, you'll get different answers. The reality is right now, where we are in our society, in my personal opinion, we're in a place where women's opinions, women's voices are still not heard equally. So I feel like for a lot of things to get the recognition and to get the acknowledgement that it deserves, it has to be backed by a man, unfortunately. There are obviously many circumstances that are not this way, but then again, there are many that are. So I feel like things like the feminist movement, I feel like any other movement, being an ally to the cause is always needed. Like, some very popular, Black Lives Matter. Yes, like we're out there marching, but we have many allies of many different races also backing us, helping us in different places where they can. So I feel like the feminist movement is no different. Honestly, for men, I would honestly just say, just listen. A lot of times, like if you ask a woman what she needs or how to support, or there's an answer. And if they don't want you to help, that's the answer. So I just feel like as a man, like it's always a lot of like, well, I asked and it was a no. Okay, then it was a no. Then they don't want your help, and that's okay. And sometimes they will want your help. But I feel like as a man for the feminist movement, I feel like take a step back and ask where you're needed. And people who are organizers, leaders, they'll let you know where you can fit in or where you don't. I don't know. I just feel like that's just the easiest, you know.
That's a good way to look at it, because I think it's just real smart to, you know, evaluate what's going on before just go rush to make and just do a statement or try to rush to help when maybe your help's not needed. Maybe they got this under control. Maybe they have it exactly where they want to have it. You never know. So I think, yeah, it's real smart to lay back, especially when it came to this topic. Like, I can't just go out here and just rush and make statements and calls. No, I had to sit back, had to scroll, had to read, had to watch, you know, just seeing TikToks, scrolling through Twitter, reading stuff, just to understand what is going on versus me just rushing to make a statement, because then I look like an idiot, and then that's not the goal. So yeah, no, definitely, I feel like that's the best way you can definitely look at it. You know, sit back, see where it's going to be, because it's funny because I was watching the I Am Athlete podcast the other day. And Deion Sanders said that was the best way to keep women happy most times, because he has a wife. And he was like, sometimes guys, you just gotta listen, man. Just listen. They'll tell you what goes on. They'll tell you what exactly happened.
Exactly. I don't know if it's a male complex or like, you know, I don't want to speak on men generally, but I feel like a lot of times it's like assumed that we'll want the help or that it's needed. And I've been in situations where men have gotten upset because I don't want their help. And I'm like, baby.
I'm not sure. I'm not. Look,
personally,
I wouldn't care. You know, if she don't need my help, hey, that's works for me, bro. Like, hey, look, she can do it by herself. That's great. You know, my mom raised me like that. My mom raised me to be a self-sufficient individual, to not depend on others to get other things done for you. So like, when people do independent things on their own, oh, I'm cool, man. Do what you gotta do. And another thing she said, like, and then back to the listening point again. She used to tell me this all the time when I was a kid. Listen to understand, don't listen to apply. It's just two things you can go about. You know, take it with you, use it however you may use it. But there you go, self-sufficiency and listening to understand. Two things I took away from my mom. I always brag by it.
So can I ask a general question?
Sure.
So it's interesting because like I've been having this conversation with a few different people, and it's just kind of like from a male's perspective, right? We talk about the feminist movement and feminism and women being empowered and independent. And then there's a lot of debate on men and that not being attractive. Women being independent, women not needing them, things like that. So my question would be like, I know this would be for you personally. I don't know if you could speak on other people you know. Why is it that like being independent and not necessarily needing a man, why is that not as attractive as being like as relying on a man or being a female who isn't as independent?
Well, it depends. Like I said, depends on the person. And then everybody believes what they read on Twitter and Instagram and all these other things. And they think that's how life is. When if I tweet a tweet on Twitter to say I'm independent and I don't need things, like everybody tries to read it and be like, oh yeah, we just gonna be independent just like him. Like I hate it so much because I ain't trying to get at my sister, but my sister tried to be like me. She tried to be this independent individual person that has this hard exterior shell, but she's a person. So when she tried to be me, it always backfires against her every time. And me and my mom always try to tell her, like, you're not us. You're not this cold individual that just can isolate himself from people at days or weeks at a time. You're not that person. you work with people. You're a people person, like versus me. Like, but yeah, like for me, it's just I wouldn't I wouldn't care at the end of the day because it's not gonna make or break a relationship. Honestly, if she does stuff by herself, if she needs me to do stuff, you know, whatever keeps everybody happy is the best route for me. Because me, I'm not an argumentative person. I don't like getting in arguments because that is the worst way to bring the worst out of me. Because and you know, I believe Kia has seen it and others have seen it that my temperament is not the greatest at times. So I don't like I hate getting mad because when I get mad, it's no going back. It's no going back, and I don't like being pure frustration because that is not the best goal. So to me, I do whatever makes everybody happy because as long as I'm laid back and I'm cool and I can be who I like to be, then that's okay. I don't like being the devil's advocate. That is the worst role for me ever. Yeah, that's the best way I can put it. But
yeah.
go ahead. You got anything else you want to say?
I was going to say, like, I know me, I'm very social, very sociable. I like to be out and about, but I'm also very independent. So it's like, you know, I don't close myself off from people, but I also don't need your help. And that's kind of where I am personally.
I could say that. Yeah, I could say that as well. I like to do stuff, but that isolation time is needed to keep my mindset on A. Because if I'm around people too long, what they say, the social battery runs out.
Listen, honestly, that social meter is real. It is very real.
I got 3 hours. I got 3-4 hours to be. After 3-4 hours, we good. The party that they said, perfect length.
Mine is a little higher than that. But I feel like I got them. It's there.
Yeah. It could be longer. It just depends who I'm around. Cause like if I'm around my friends or my boys, oh yeah, there's no cap on that. But like if I'm like at a party or something, I got 2 or 3 hours max, and then I'm gonna get tired of people bumping me and stuff, jumping the songs, and I'm just gonna be like, yeah, we good. Nah, I can't do this no more. I'm just gonna walk out.
Definitely get that.
Yeah, that kind of sums it up, honestly. Yeah, you know, quick conversation, got to the points, got what we need to talk about, and I feel like, you know, I did my little due diligence here. Just talking about it brings awareness to what's going on, and that's very, very important. So, you know, and honestly, I've been sending this episode for a couple of months now, so it finally is good to see it come to fruition.
Well, there we go. Well, I'm glad that you thought it important enough to talk about. That's what I say, to get a woman's perspective and to talk about the different issues surrounding it. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Kudos to you.
Thank you. It just made sense because, you know, that's like I did an episode last week about the hypocrisy of the state woke community. That's like, you know, bringing somebody of Caucasian and Hispanic community to speak about that. They wouldn't know anything about it. So it's like, it's not smart. So yeah, it's like I said, it looks dumb when guys speaking on women's issues. Like we're not women, so it's impossible to speak on women issues if you're not a woman. It's just like don't make sense. Just definitely. But nah, I'm glad you came on. Glad, that's great. You know, but that's kind of it. Like I said, you know, other things I got going on. 6 episodes left in season 2. 6 episodes. So go ahead and tune out. If you didn't watch last week's, The Epoxy of Stable Community is on IG Live, IGTV. Go check it out. Let's see, what's next? 26. Keep the conversation going with popular community topics. The segmentation of minorities. You know, tune in for that. I got J Halfaday, Jordan, for most that don't know him as that. Got him on there. And I got Malcolm's first recorded episode with the podcast. So that's a great conversation to tune in. Otherwise, I got financial literacy coming up and got a couple other things. I got a couple of music artists, got a special one that's coming on. So I'm gonna leave that in the air for now. And we're gonna see how that goes. Hopefully it works. Hopefully it does. But that's all I got for y'all today. I appreciate y'all for coming on another episode or watching another episode of You're Not Gonna Like This. And as always, it's your host signing off and see y'all soon. What's up, everybody? That concludes today's episode. Join us next time when we release another one. As always, we continue releasing our episodes Friday at 12 on a bi-weekly basis. give us a follow on our pages, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. All the ad names are right there on the screen. As always, this is your host, Ira, signing off. And see y'all soon.